Now, earlier you were talking about just the common sense, and you said this isn't rocket science. I'm understanding that you're not a rocket scientist.
No. Of course I am. No, just kidding. I'm not.
So I guess what I'm interested in is, what is your background? What's your educational background? I know you've always been interested in politics.
Yeah.
What brought you towards planning tea parties and doing all of that? And I'm wondering too, can just an average woman who, say, has some education, who reads a lot, can this kind of woman do the same thing you're doing? Can she get involved in the same level that you're getting involved?
Yeah, I think I am average in many, many ways. I was born in Lansing, Michigan. I grew up in California. I lived in a drug house with my dad at the time. I lost my brother when I was 16. He was 11 and killed in a car accident. My parents went through a terrible divorce. We all have sad stories. In fact, if you don't have sad stories, you probably shouldn't be running for anything because you don't understand what we're going through. I've watched my parents struggle. I've watched my family struggle. I've watched them, I've ridden to school in a limo and had a refrigerator repossessed. Not personally, but when I was a child. And so all of those things, I have a wide variety of life experience. I do have a college degree. I have all but one class and a thesis of a master's degree, which I probably won't finish. But I'll tell you about the education piece. Education is important. But most of what I've learned about politics, about life, about communication, about leadership especially, I did not learn in the classroom. I learned living. I learned raising my children. I learned reading great authors like John Maxwell. Completely self-taught, and I'm still learning. I've learned a lot of it from just flat out making mistakes. Learning how to be a leader is tough. Learning how to be resilient is tough. It's hard. When you step out and stand up for what you believe in, they'll get in your face, they'll call you names, they'll try to assassinate your character. But there's a great quote that someone said, and it's, people of integrity expect to be believed, and when they're not, they let time prove them right. So I've learned all this not in the classroom. I don't think it takes a college education. Some of the smartest people I know don't have a college education. It's great to have a college education, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not a prerequisite for having common sense. In fact, sometimes it's in direct opposition to having common sense. You can start college with common sense and come out completely befuddled. So, I talked about my childhood, not because I'm any worse off than anybody else. We all have sad stories, but I'm a lot like everybody else. I have 4 children. I have a mortgage. I have a husband. I have a dog. My husband is in the Michigan National Guard. He's been deployed, so I'm a military wife, and have been through a lot of the things that most Americans have been through. My husband and I struggle to make the checkbook balance, struggle to do what's right for our kids, make tough economic choices. Got married, in Vegas. And I'm just very much like many other people. I feel like we've been put here for such a time as this. I feel like I've been very blessed to be put here for such a time as this. I will tell you, my childhood, because my childhood was pretty rotten in many ways, although my parents always loved me and I never wondered about that. Some kids, I guess, do, and that's very sad. But there's always healing and redemption and all that stuff. But growing up, I came to the decision growing up that since families couldn't be trusted and relied upon, government must be the answer. Because my home was broken in so many ways. Like so many kids, people my age, my generation, our homes, most of them are broken. We're broken. And when you realize it and you have a perception that the family cannot solve problems, somebody has to. And we all agree about the problems, we just disagree who should solve them. So when I actually came out of college and high school, out of this broken home, I thought government must be the answer, because the family certainly couldn't be. And it wasn't until I had a lot of experiences with creating my own family and having my own children, and being faced with some core truths about our universe, about the world, about me, about everything, that I started to really reevaluate where those answers lied, and started to realize that the answers did not lie in government, but live within each one of us. So I'm a mom, I'm a military wife, I have a college education, not a prerequisite for common sense. I have enough knowledge to be dangerous. I think it takes a lot of courage, and you have to be battlefield tested to know if you have courage or not. And you have to have a strong support system and know who you are to have courage. And be willing to make mistakes, but fail forward, because I've certainly made a lot of mistakes. Still making mistakes. Trying to make new ones so I can continue to grow. But I am in no way special